Good morning, good morning. How we doing? Good. Well, certainly excited just to be back in the community with you all. My name is Brandon Fisher. Just a quick background on me before we get into this much-needed discussion on what it's like being black in all-white sport. I did play lacrosse at Ohio State. I was originally from the DMV. Anybody in here from the DMV? Yo, out here. Grew up in Virginia. Ended up playing lacrosse, like I said, at Ohio State. And I think my student-athlete experience is a large part of the reason I'm in collegiate athletics today. Just recently finished up my postgraduate experience at the NCAA and recently took a job at University of North Texas, where I'll be the assistant director, student-athlete development. Thank y'all. I'll be starting there on Tuesday. So just to get a pulse of the room before we get started here, if you're a student-athlete and you are in a sport that is predominantly white or a team that is predominantly white, could you raise your hand for me? Take a look around, y'all. Like, go ahead and look at, yep. Hands are up. I know sometimes in my journey, a lot of hands.
Two hands.
I felt like I was alone, but it's just good to know that you're not, right? So black excellence is all around us. Today we're going to share our perspectives and our stories, so I know I've been talking for a little bit too long here, so I'm just going to kick it off to my panelists. So panelists, can we just go through a brief introduction of yourself, your sport, or your former sport, and then how'd you start playing? Marissa, we'll start with you.
Hey everyone, I'm Marissa Gatson. I currently serve as the Executive Director for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Georgetown. Hey, shout out to my boys. I played field hockey in college. Any field hockey athletes in here? Damn, I'm 1-on-1 even in this. That's crazy. I got into my sport because I played softball and basketball growing up, and in middle school my mom was like, you don't play anything in the fall. And I heard about this sport. Do you want to give it a try? And I was like, sure. Day of tryouts, I forgot my bag. I had to go in my nice clothes and everything. But I ended up falling in love with it, and really throughout that journey kind of helped shaped me, which we'll talk about. But as you can see, a lot of the times I am the only one, even in a space of 1,500 other black people. So,
what's up, y'all? I'm Jadon Roberson, originally from SoCal, the Valley, shout out. I am a recent graduate from the Ohio State University. I'm a men's gymnast. Yeah. OH. There we go. And I'm a men's gymnast, so shout out all the gymnasts in here. I know we ain't here. And a little, I guess, background how I got into the sport. On some real stuff, I was just flipping on the couches, and my parents were like, you're going to learn how to do this correctly. And kind of just stuck with it. So that's kind of how I got in, fell in love with the sport, took me all the way to college, so blessed for that.
Hey, everybody. My name is Pat Cosquer. I'm here representing the Black Squash Alliance, which is an organization that is designed and created to elevate the black student athlete who plays squash. Anyone know what squash is? There you go. There you go. Good. Not field hockey, squash, right? So I'm a head coach. Used to coach at Hobart and William Smith College out in Geneva, New York. Played squash at Bates College in Lewiston, Maine. Anyone been to Maine? There we go. Okay. I got into squash because I was playing baseball and soccer, and a little bit like Jadon, just needed something else to do. And my dad had played squash, and he said, let's just go over to this club and check it out. And there I was, the only, right? And here we are. But it's a great game. It kept me busy, kept me out of trouble, all that. But it's lonely out there sometimes, so we'll get into that, I'm sure. But thanks for having me. It's great.
Hey, y'all. So my name is Carrington Hayward. I go to a HBCU at Livingstone College. The sport that I play is bowling. How I got into that is my mom wanted me to do a sport that you can get scholarship money and where you don't see a whole bunch of black people. And yeah.
Good deal. Well, I mean, let's get right into it, right? Like, obviously being, one of one in your space, let's talk about it. So keeping this question broad for a reason, but just going down the line here, how has your student athlete experience been being in a predominantly white sport?
Okay. I guess for me, since high school, I was or I guess before that, gymnastics, you start young. I was usually one of the only black people. And so I guess, there's it's kind of like a win-lose because you get to like understand how to be around white people, but then it kind of, when you try to bring your blackness out, they're kind of like, whoa, what was that? So it's like you kind of have to, you kind of have to adjust. You kind of have to adjust quick and kind of learn how. So I guess like it helps with the code switching, but at the same time it's like draining because you're code switching. So I don't know. I guess kind of when we get deeper into it, I guess we can go deeper. But there's wins and losses to it. But it was cool.
I can jump in. So for me, in high school, I played field hockey in the fall where there weren't very many of us on the team. My high school was really diverse, so we did have other black girls on the team. And we were just like a group of girls. We were like, okay, we put like BG on everything, like, okay, our little black girl group. But then I went straight to basketball, which like the whole team was black, to softball. So it was like a way different experience throughout all of high school. And then I got to college, and everyone on my team was white except for one Hispanic girl. So just really trying to figure out how to navigate that. And looking back, like I still got all the same experiences as other people, like the positive experiences of it. Like I have lifelong friends, we had good laughs, the memories, but like mine also came with microaggressions, right? And just knowing different things about like, okay, that hairstyle, that matching hairstyle y'all doing, I'm not doing it, right? Like I don't wanna go to the lacrosse house for the third weekend in a row. Like, it's like
Whoa.
the playlist I knew was gonna be trash, and the one hip hop song was gonna be dedicated to Marissa. Like, so I knew there were gonna be things throughout my experience that like only I would get. So I think that it really just made me super conscious of my identity and really having to navigate like, am I enough? Because I can't be myself here, but then my black counterparts on other teams may have a perception of me because, I mean, have y'all met a black field hockey player, right? So like just already assuming who I am without knowing me, I think was something that was an experience I wasn't necessarily prepared for when I got to college.
Yeah, I heard it a couple times yesterday that playing squash really made me trust my I and made me lean into my own identity. And really, at a young age, figure out who I was and who I wanted to be and what I was all about. Being the only sometimes is it's uncomfortable, right? But it's important, and it teaches you some adversity for sure right away, right at a young age. And so I feel like playing squash and being in that space as a young person was just really meaningful in my own personal development, emotionally, psychologically, physically, obviously, but just as a man, taught me a lot about myself and my strengths and my own weaknesses for sure.
I would say being in a white sport, it was very challenging just because, like I said, it wasn't a lot of black people. It was very much a whole bunch of white people. It was 1% black, and you're dealing with racism, racial slurs, etc. So, and plus it was also being hard being the only black girl or black person in that sport.
Thank you. Thanks, Carrington. Jadon, I kind of want to go back to what you said for a second of just being able to maintain, right, and express your blackness in your sport. I know it can be definitely difficult speaking from experience, but can you just go a little bit deeper into how you've been able to express, yourself authentically?
So yeah, like I was saying, my high school experience was tough because of so much code switching and going to Ohio State, a PWI, none but white people, you're like, okay, how do I adjust? So you kind of start doing the same thing. You start trying to like conform. And so I'm not gonna lie, especially with COVID hitting so hard my freshman year, I didn't know what, like it was tough. But kind of as time went on, I started to realize like, in order for me to have more energy and feel more accepted, I have to be more myself so they understand me better. So it's like I stopped trying to code switch. I stopped trying to hide parts of me so that they could feel more comfortable, because that's not we're playing a sport. So it's like, if I'm getting my reps in, if I'm working hard, nothing else matters. So I guess, just being myself and like chilling with the code switching made them kind of adjust better. Respectfully though, it's not like I was like out there being wild or nothing. It was just, I was still respectful to my coaches. I was just showing more parts of myself. So it's like, it allowed the coaches, my teammates to start to understand me, because luckily I had a couple other black teammates with me, which is like rare in the sport of gymnastics. So I was blessed to have that. And, me and the guy that was 1 year above me, not switching too much, allowed for the younger guys that are here and coming in to kind of feel like more themselves, which honestly created just way more inclusive, you know what I'm trying to say, y'all. Within my team, and just honestly making us more comfortable because they're starting to understand us better.
Right on. And then Carrington, obviously growing up, right, and being, one of the only in your sport, and then going to a HBCU and being in the majority. Can you talk a little bit about that transition and more on your HBCU experience?
Very much coming from where I was at, it was very different from being at a HBCU. When I was little, I started bowling when I was 9. So at that, it's just like I was real quiet. I kept to myself. I really ain't talked to nobody. Here and there be a little bit of black people. We would stay in a group together, but if they wasn't there, then I was by myself. I had a couple of friends that were white. They supported me. They was there, but from there, coming to a HBCU, it was very different. My personality showed. I was more out there. I was just blending in.
Now, switching gears, great quote is, if you want to know the road ahead, ask those who are coming back. And I think for Pat and Marissa, the two people who have crossed the road of being a student athlete, especially in this unique demographic, right? So can you just talk about how could you support, student athletes in this specific demographic from a admin and coach perspective?
Yeah, so as an administrator, I think it's really important that you seek out and check on the student athletes that are one-on-one on their teams, right? Like being intentional about making them feel seen, giving them opportunities like this to be able to come into a space where they're surrounded by, a bunch of other individuals who look like them, I think is really important. I think another way as an administrator is to be your authentic self in the space so that they can see that it's okay for them to be their authentic self as well, because as Jadon has talked about, they're conditioned very much like I was to code switch in spaces. So to be able to see someone and hear from someone that says like, oh, I've been there and I wish I would have done this, is going to hopefully give them a space to feel more comfortable, or just a place to come into your office and be like, my teammate was getting on my nerves, right? Like just making a safe space for them, I think is really important. But I don't think it's just on the administrators. I think from my own personal experience, I wish that my black friends from other teams would have brought me in a little bit more, because you're surrounded by your teammates. So most of you, if you're going out, you're going with your teammates, right? Like for the most part, like you're going with the people that you're close with. Well, if most of my teammates, even if I'm cool with them, are white, I'm not taking them to that party. And I'm damn sure not going by myself, right? So now I am subject to either staying in or, like I said, going to the lacrosse house for the third weekend and just trying to figure out what that's going to look like for me. So also taking the time to get to know people on other teams so that they know that like there are people with them that they can also lean on, or just have a familiar face if they are going to branch out, because it's a lot to ask someone, especially early on in your college career, to do something by themselves, right? Like you have to be super comfortable and confident to do that. And not all of us hold that when they first get to college. So by my senior year, I could go to stuff by myself. It didn't matter. But I wish that the people that I was talking to on the way to practices would have just been like, hey, Marissa, what are you doing this weekend? Do you want to come to this as well? So I think it's on all of us. We say we're a family. We say we're a community. And sometimes that's just checking in to be like, do you want to try something new? So.
She stole my answer. She's good. Dialogue is huge. Sometimes that's uncomfortable, but as coaches and administrators, we have to take the time to listen. It's your experience. It's a student athlete experience. It's not going to work on the field, on the court, in the pool, whatever, if you're not comfortable, if you're not happy. And we all know that. And so it's busy. It's a grind. It's, we're pushing through all that stuff, but we have to take the time to listen and to sit down and talk. Sometimes even with the whole team. And sometimes that's extremely uncomfortable and really hard to do. But that's important as well. Marissa made a great point about other student athletes and other students on campus. Again, I heard this yesterday. Reach out outside of your silo of your team. Super important, right? The groups on campus, Black Student Union, groups on campus for sure, but just other non-student athletes. I think that's a really important piece of your or our experience in higher education. When you make yourself uncomfortable, when you push yourself out of what your comfort zone, we grow as people, and I think that's the most important part. We have all done that through athletics. There are a lot of transferable skills that will benefit all of us through our lives through athletics. One of those is facing adversity and facing challenges, and so when you push out of what you're used to and comfortable with, it's really important for your own self-development, and so get out of that group that you're used to and that you're comfortable with. Talk about what's going on.
One thing I would add to, as coaches and administrators, also knowing that, and I don't think it comes from everyone in this room, but thinking about as we're educating our colleagues, right? Like if there's one Black person on the team or two Black people on the team, it's not their responsibility to fix the team. Right, so making sure that you're not leaning on those marginalized students on your team to educate the rest of the team about what's going on in the world and how to navigate this space. Like it's not there for them. Now, if that's something that student athlete is really passionate about, bring them into the fold, but they don't need to carry the burden of the entire Black race to their counterparts. So just making sure that we are doing our part as administrators as well.
Jadon, you nodding your head over there. You wanna add anything to that?
No, because like I said, energy is so important in this sport. And so if the coach is looking to the one Black person and be like, yo, let's fix this, what the hell? So it's like, yeah, it makes sense because honestly, we need everyone to fix our issue. So it's like, great answer.
Now, switching gears here, in terms of just stereotypes, right? And for those of you who are not familiar with lacrosse, there's really two aspects of the game, similar to other sports too, right? You got your athletic side, your quickness, agility, speed, and all that. Then you got your stick skills and mainly skills of the game, right? So passing, catching, shooting. And for me, I was always pretty athletic, and I spent a lot of my time crafting my game and my skill set. But no matter what, I was always labeled as, oh, this kid's just a raw athlete, or the kid just got wheels, he can run. I mean, he's a freak of nature, but I was never labeled as like a high IQ guy, someone who's really skilled in crafting my game, which hurt because that's where I spent most of my time. So just going down the line here again, like, have y'all ever been stereotyped, and have you gone through that?
I'll jump on this because for the gymnasts in here, we know they see gymnastics as a white sport. So it's like, our body types, because naturally everyone has different body types, Black people have different body types. When you don't fit that type, the coaches, they look at you, they're like, oh, you're not going to be able to do all that they can do, right? So it's like, we have to work that much harder to prove that we can do the same thing they can do. So it's really frustrating, especially in a sport like gymnastics, because it's just so ingrained. The stereotypes are so ingrained in their minds that it's so hard to break out of, and it's kind of like just a feedback loop of the same thing over and over again. Even if we're proving that we can do the same thing as them, because we don't have that look, or they don't think we can do that because we're quote unquote heavier, or we're too powerful and we can't control it, so they don't even give us the time of day to work on that, or to figure out a way, even though we know how to do it most times, to figure it out. So I wish I could figure out an answer to fix it, but I don't even know if it's there, and I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to be like, oh, they can. They can do that. And honestly, maybe social media is helping. There's a really amazing gymnast, Frederick, from Michigan. I know, OH. But he is showing that, like, because he is so good at this sport, and through social media, he's showing, like, he can do the same thing and better than some of these other. Our Olympic team actually might have, like, 2, maybe 3 black men, which is, like, unheard of. And that's honestly because of he's good, but he's showing that, like, black people can do it. So that's where I kind of F with social media. But besides that, when you're in the gym and the coaches aren't really, it's like it's getting better, but I don't know how much longer it's going to take for them to be like, everyone can do the same thing no matter what. So that's my piece.
For a stereotype, I say I could really go with what he said, because in bowling, y'all may say it don't take a lot. It really do take a lot, especially as a person that I am on the bigger side. So it was very much hard to get the ball around my hips, and I had to kind of go through that myself. I really didn't have the coach for real, but it really did take a lot. Yes, I broke down a couple of times because it wasn't going the way how I wanted to go, and I wanted to be like everybody else, but I don't, like, especially in New York, upstate New York, it's not a lot. Like I said, it's not a lot. But really, yeah, I can really say what you said. It's really no solution. It's just go with the flow. Something like that.
I think if I reflect back, because honestly I don't know if I really thought about this until, like, I'm not that much older but y'all make me feel old, but when I reflect back, I think for me it was more of the emotional stereotype. So if I think about, yes, I was a captain early on, yes, I was a leader on my team, yes, I do have a very dominant personality, but my freshman and my sophomore year, I didn't see my coach turn into the other our captains at the time who were white and be like, go speak to the team, right? Like, but that was my responsibility. When something wasn't going right, like, Marissa, tell them to get their shit together, right? Like, I'm like, I need to get mine together. Like, who's really checking, like, on me through this as well? Like, I felt like I had to carry the team on my back, and that people weren't really, like, I could not have a bad day in what I was doing, because no one was going to look in and step in for me, right? Like, I had to make sure that I was doing it because that was what it was expected, that Marissa just doesn't have off days when I'm human as well.
Pat? No. All right, knowing what you know now, right? Everything that you've been through in your sport and your journey, the ups, downs, in betweens. If you had to do it all over again, would you choose your same sport to play in college?
100%. 100%. Made me the man I am today, made me stronger. As I said before, all that adversity, all the challenges, all stereotypes, preconceived notions, all that made me stronger for sure. And also, Jadon touched on this earlier, playing a sport, a predominantly white sport, makes you, it helps to relate sometimes to other people. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, and I think that's really important. You know, the world, we're more connected now than ever, but we're not. We're less connected. We're on our phones, right? It's important to meet other people and to be outside of where your comfort is. So, 100%.
Same.
Yeah.
Mine's a little rocky, but I feel like I'm more on I would do my sport again. It very much has helped me control myself, stick up for myself more. Hold on, y'all, give me a minute. Also, I would say it was very motivational, coming from doing the sport all years, starting when I was 9, now that I'm 21, I have seen myself grow, very much, but yeah, that's it.
We got 100%. Carrington leaning towards the yes, too, so I'll take it. Just to close this out here, one piece of advice, right, to student athletes in this very unique demographic, being black in a white sport, what would you say? What's your piece of advice?
I say, know your worth, know your value, and be yourself.
Kind of on that notion, don't change who you are to make other people comfortable.
Don't stop doing something that you love. If you feel like this is what you want to do, then do it. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't do it when you can really do it. If you put the time in, then you got it. Simple as that.
I think they hit on a lot of really good points. I'd add, you're not alone. Like your space, you are needed in this space, so keep doing what you do and really make sure that, you show up as you and other people just got to deal with it.
100%. Well, I know we're wrapping up on time here. I would also say just continue to be yourself, right? Like, everybody in here is made differently for a reason. So embrace your uniqueness, right? Whatever that is in your sport, outside of your sport, but just continue to be you. I think the search of being able to find who you truly are, that's the meaning of life, right? So just continue to be on that search and embrace yourself. So thank you to the panelists. I know this is a much-needed conversation, also a dialogue that's going to continue to progress. So if you have any questions or comment, anything, just come up to us afterwards. I know we'll be around. Let's have a great rest of the summit.